Oh man, I'm in a mood today. I promise I won't look at you too much while I'm talking and driving. If you see me look down, it's because I'm going 10 miles an hour in an open place. So, you probably have these things called Bed Bath & Beyond where you are. They send you these coupons for 20% off. They think it's a customer loyalty program. And I'm pretty sure when they have meetings, they say stuff like, hey, we'll send people these great discounts. They will like that, and they will be more likely to shop at my store. Let me tell you what actually happens. When I use their store, I'm almost always in the neighborhood, and I don't have this with me. Or it's a spontaneous trip where I just want to get out of the house, which is the case now, and I drive halfway there before realizing I don't have this. So then I do what I just did. I drive all the way back because the alternative is to go to their store and overpay because they've created a new level of inconvenience for me. Something I have to remember that has no value to me beyond, a good price, which they should have given me in the first place. So what do? And I swear this is 100% of the times I use the store. I'm not joking. 100% of the times I go to Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm swearing at them as I approach the store. This is me driving up to Bed Bath & Beyond. Hey, I think I'll go to Bed Bath & Beyond. I'll pick up a few items. Oh, motherfucker! I fucking forgot my goddamn coupon, so now I'm going to be the only asshole in the store who has to pay twice as much for the same product. And I freaking hate them. I hate them for doing this to me. They give me two choices. Don't use their three choices. Don't use their store, which I wanted to do. Be angry that I overpaid. Drive all the way home for their stupid coupon. Now I know what you're saying. Scott, you're a rich cartoonist and you don't need to worry about these discounts and coupons. You're right. I don't need to. But the problem is they put it in my head. They told me I'm doing it the wrong way. They made it very clear what's the right way to use their store. Bring this coupon with you. And then I can't do it because they made it too inconvenient. What about Safeway, my local grocery store? They've got one of the worst customer disloyalty programs I've ever seen because they keep piling on complexity. It was bad enough that I had to choose a paper bag or a plastic bag, but where I live, they charge you for it and they give you a choice of bringing your own bag. So even the bag situation is like 3 times more complicated than it needs to be. But now they have these Monopoly games where you can collect tickets for shopping. You got to put in your account. They ask you if you want to donate some money to this or that. And oh my God, and there's paperwork, there's phone numbers. If you've got 2 members of the family, it's confusing. So Safeway, I swear every time I'm standing in line to buy something at the store, I'm literally just cursing them. It's like, you motherfuckers, why are you making me do this the hard way when all I want to do is give you my goddamn money for your stupid food? That's all I want. I don't need to play a game. I don't need to talk about bags. I don't need to, it's not my charity situation. I didn't come here to give to charity. I just want my fucking food. All right? Bed Bath & Beyond, I want a goddamn laundry basket. That's all I want from you. I don't need your loyalty programs. I don't need your frickin' discounts. Serenity now. Serenity now. That's all I had to say. Just driving to the store angry. Oh, it gets even better. So Safeway, apparently, that's my grocery store here, has some kind of deal with the local Chevron stations, where if you're buying gas, they ask you if you have a Safeway loyalty number or something like that. And they don't tell you why. It's just an option that I have to put into the gas station, standing there in the sun and the glare, and I can't really read that little screen. But here's the kicker. If you do put in your Safeway number, and again, they don't tell you why, like what's the benefit of doing it? It's not clear why you do this. As soon as you enter it, the pump starts screaming at you in a high-pitched whine, which is not an error. It's actually designed to go, ee! It's like the worst sound you've ever heard in your life. It's like something they would use on like monsters attacking you in a bad movie. And you can't even listen to it. It's just like, oh God, make that sound stop. And it goes the entire time you're trying to do your transaction. Unless you don't put in your customer loyalty number, and then it's just fine. It still has too many questions, but it doesn't make that annoying sound. So Chevron has both asked me to put in this number every time I go to the gas station, and trained me by this little sound, that's like a penalty if you do it, to not put in my number. So they've trained me to do both things. Now I just don't put in my number because I can't stand the sound anymore. And I have to ask myself, have any of these companies ever talked to an actual customer about how they feel about their loyalty program? Because there's nothing that makes me angrier than a loyalty program, let me tell you. And moreover, I have never once chosen the place that I shop for retail stuff because I was or was not in a loyalty program. So they must think they're getting some benefit from it, and maybe they are. I'm sure they've run the numbers, but oh my God, do I hate these frickin' companies for what they put me through for no good reason. Alright, that was my rant of the day. Remind me to tell you how I got pulled over for speeding yesterday and managed to get away with a warning. Anybody want to hear about that? I'm at a stoplight right now. Anybody want to hear about... Alright, so yesterday I'm going to the gym in my small town of Pleasanton here, driving through a neighborhood, and I immediately see some police lights behind me, the type of light that is never good news, sort of the pullover light. So it's a motorcycle policeman and he's waving me over. Now let me tell you how I handled it in terms of persuasion. So what you're going to hear is the persuasion method for dealing with a traffic stop when you're the one being stopped. Now, I can't say that the way I handled it is necessarily the reason I only got a warning. It's possible that he was just giving out warnings. He might have been in a good mood. It could be when he ran my license, he was a Dilbert fan. It didn't come up, but anything's possible. But let me tell you how I handled it. So the moment I saw his lights, I immediately put on my turn signal, because the first thing I wanted to do was signal that I'm a cooperative, easy to deal with customer. So I've communicated with him as soon as he put on his lights. He put on his lights, I put on my lights. Now we're in communication. We're pacing, right? So he put on his lights, I put on my lights. I'm pacing him. He comes up to the car. Oh, by the way, and then I picked the place to pull over that was extra safe. Pulled into a side street and then into a nice parking lot where he would be safe from traffic and so would I. So now I've signaled two things. I'm in communication with you. I acknowledge your authority. I'm doing what you asked right away. And I'm pulling into a place which I have chosen for safety. And it was obvious that I had. And now I'm on the same team with him, right? We both want to be safe. That's our primary thing we want to do today. So far so good. He walks over to the car. Just so you can imagine the scene. He's maybe a 50-ish year old white guy, policeman. Looks like he's been doing it for a while. Very professional. And he's acting very professional and calm. And so instead of going into the victim mode or the guilty pedestrian mode, I just matched him. And I just acted professional and calm the same way he was. So here's the interesting part. Trust me, there's an interesting part. So he says, you were doing, I guess, 38 in the 25 mile per hour zone. Now, I didn't know exactly where I was when he clocked me, but it did seem to me that it was worth asking the question. So I said, where exactly was that? Because that speed limit seems kind of low for around here. Where was that? So now I signaled to him that there was no obvious place I had violated the law. In other words, I wasn't aware of it, which is actually true. I wasn't aware that I was speeding in a 25 mile per hour zone. So the policeman, being very professional, He explains to me in the context of stopping times. He said, well, different areas have different speed limits because of the perceived, average stopping time and what's happening in that neighborhood and such. So here's where I did not make the mistake of arguing with him in the weeds, as I call it, the details. The detailed argument would have been, I'm not sure I was going that fast, or gosh, it looked safe to me, or I only went that fast for a minute, I was slowing down. Any of those arguments, he's heard him, he doesn't care. So instead, I took him to what I call in persuasion lingo, the high ground. The high ground is where you go that people have to follow because they recognize it as the higher level of reasoning and thought, and they don't want to be caught as the child in the conversation. So what I did was I said, are those speed limits set by some sort of algorithm that takes into account what's in the neighborhood, or is it based on observing people actually using the road before you post the signs so you can get an idea what the average driver would do? Now, what you don't know is that I know that that's actually the process. The process is that they actually survey it based on just watching people drive it for a while and see how fast they go. And then they probably set it a little bit under that. So I've now demonstrated a fairly uncommon understanding of how driving limits are set. At the same time, I've called into question, indirectly, without ever questioning his authority or judgment, I've called into question the fact that there is a subjective nature to how they set these limits. And at this point, he started almost explaining to me, well, you're obviously a good driver, and you had good visibility. It was a sunny day, nobody was out, the streets are clear. Yeah, I could totally see how you would not notice you're doing it. So in other words, the police officer was arguing my case. He was saying that in this situation there was no reason to think it was dangerous, and it probably wasn't. That's what he was saying to me. Now keep in mind that at no point did I ever disagree with him, which would have been a mistake. I never challenged his authority, which would have been a big mistake. I never made him look bad. All I did was talk to him on a topic that he seemed to have some interest. So now I've paced him with the lights, I've paced him with my professional attitude. I also, when he came up to the car, I made sure that my window was down and both hands were visible on the steering wheel, which signals to him that I first of all know what I'm doing, because that's the proper way to be stopped. And then when he was done talking, I asked him for permission to get out my wallet with my license, which he said yes, and then I did it in front of him so he could see there was nothing strange going on. At the end of this transaction, he and I were practically friends. I mean, it was the friendliest conversation you've ever had with a police officer, because the topic of how speed limits are set was actually kind of interesting to me in a wonkish way, and it's what he does for a living. It was probably interesting to him too. So at the end of it, he took my license and he went back to the car. I assume he ran me through their computer or whatever, and then he came back and he said he was just going to give me a warning. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying that my clever influence is the reason I got a warning instead of a ticket. He may have just been giving warnings that day. He may have run my name, and maybe he's a Dilbert fan. Anything's possible, right? But I would suggest, I'm stopping right now in case you see me looking around. I would suggest that the way I handled it, which was to pace him in everything he did, to cooperate and also broadcast very clearly my cooperation, right? So just instantly doing the right thing, knowing what to do when you're stopped, gives him confidence, makes him feel good. He had one stop that went just the way he wanted it to. And by the end, I was saying, hey, I'll put the word out about driving in this neighborhood, see if I can get my neighbors to slow down too, which is true. I did put out the word. So he got what he wanted out of the transaction, which was he was working on behalf of the neighborhood that apparently had complained some people were speeding there. and he was getting the word out, and he did. And so we had just a good interaction. Now, I'm sure somebody has said in the comments that I'm not reading. It would have gone differently if I were, African American or something. I'm sure somebody's saying that at this point, and I think you're right. It would have, but no matter what the starting situation, there's always a better way to handle these things, and I think I handled it as well as it could be handled. And again, I don't know if that's the reason I got a good result or not, but that's the way you handle those things. All right, I'm getting pretty close to my destination. So as soon as I get to slow down at this light up here and stop, I'm going to give you my final comment and sign off here. All right, I'm at a full stop. Don't worry about me dying. I'm going to sign off now, and remember, don't win small when you can win bigly.